Let me start with a slightly uncomfortable question. What if the very strengths that made you successful are now the reason for your feeling stuck? A senior leader I was coaching once told me, "Bhaskar, I don't understand this. I'm working harder than ever, but somehow I feel less effective." He was sharper than most, more experienced than many, highly respected, and yet something wasn't working. Not because he lacked capability, but because he was using yesterday's strength to solve today's challenges. And that's what today's episode is all about. Welcome to W. What got you here won't get you there. The leadership paradox. Success leaves clues, but it also leaves traps. The behaviors that help you grow early in your career are often being hands-on, having the right answers, solving problems quickly, delivering results individually, and these are rewarded. Promotions follow, recognition increases, builds confidence, but then something changes. As you grow into leadership roles, the game shifts, and suddenly your job is not to have answers, but to create answers through others. Not to control, but to enable and empower. Not to execute, but to orchestrate. And yet, most leaders continue doing what worked before because it feels safe, familiar, proven, and that's where the problem begins. Why letting go is so hard? Letting go of strengths feels counterintuitive because these strengths are not weaknesses, they are assets. But in a different context, they become overused strengths. For example, decisiveness becomes impatience. Attention to detail becomes micromanagement. Confidence becomes dismissiveness. Ownership becomes control. And here is a deeper challenge. Your identity is tied to these strengths. You don't just use them, you are them. Who you are is how you lead. So letting go feels like losing a part of yourself. That's why this transition is not just a skill shift, it is an identity shift. Where this shows up in leadership? In decision making, in team development, in conflict handling, and so on. Let us look at decision making. Leaders who were once rewarded for speed continue making quick decisions. But at scale, this creates dependency, bottleneck, reduced ownership in team, and the shift required is from I decide to we think. In team development, a high-performing individual contributor becomes a manager and continues solving problems for the team. Result? Team stops thinking because the leader is always thinking for them. The shift required from problem solver to capability builder. Let's look at conflict handling. Leaders who value harmony avoid difficult conversations because earlier relationships mattered, but now avoiding leads to misalignment, and misalignment leads to bigger conflicts for later date. The shift required from being liked and popular to being respected and clear. As leaders grow, they rely on authority, but influence at senior level doesn't come from authority. It comes from trust, credibility, alignment, and so on. The shift required here is from positional power to relational influence. In many of my coaching conversations, I use a simple but powerful exercise. I call it from strengths to stretch. Ask yourself, what are my top 3 strengths that got me here? Where I may be overusing them? What is the next version of this strength required for my current role? For example, from expertise to enabling and empowering others' expertise. From control to trust with accountability. From doing to designing systems. This is not about abandoning your strength. It is about evolving them. Let me share a story from one of my client engagements. I was working with a senior leader in a large IT organization, part of a global transformation initiative. He was brilliant, deeply technical, highly respected for solving complex problems. Whenever there was a crisis, people trusted and turned to him. He delivered every single time. But now his role had expanded. He was leading a larger team, cross-functional stakeholders, global expectations, and yet something was off. His team was very slow, dependent, not stepping up. He told me, Bhaskar, I feel like I'm carrying the entire team on my shoulders. So we explored. And I asked him one question. What if your strength is now the problem? That paused him. We mapped the behavior. Every time a problem came up, he jumped in, solved it, saved the day. But unintentionally, he was teaching his team one thing. You don't need to think, I will take care of it. So we designed a small experiment. In the next few meetings, instead of giving answers, he would ask these 3 questions. What do you think we should do? What options have you considered? What risk do you see? At first, the team struggled. There was silence, discomfort, even frustration. But slowly, something shifted. People started thinking, taking more ownership, bringing new ideas. Within a few weeks, he told me, Bhaskar, I'm doing less, but the team is achieving more. And then he said something powerful. I didn't need to work harder. I needed to show up differently. Here is your experiment for this week. Take one strength that you are proud of. Ask yourself, where might I be overusing it? What is the unintended impact on others? What is one behavior I can change this week? And then try this in your next interaction. Instead of giving an answer, ask a question, just one, and observe what happens. Every key on the keyboard of leadership unlocks a different capability. Today we explored W. What got you here won't get you there. Because growth is not just about adding more. Sometimes it's about letting go of what once made you successful. Next episode, we move to the next key, E. Until then, stay reflective and remember, the leader who got you here may not be the leader who would take you forward.